Thanks for joining us for the midday news. Minister for Defence and Emergency Services, Dr. Billy Joseph, has commended the efforts of the PNG Defence Force and police personnel engaged in Operation Golden Valley in Porgera, Enga Province. He said the support of the disciplined forces to the leadership on the ground was key to ensuring that people carry on with their daily lives in a safe and secure environment, pursuing their individual goals and enjoying its benefits.
Minister for Defence has applauded the security personnel deployed to Enga for their dedication and sacrifice to help the people in the time of disaster. Dr. Billy, who was in the province to visit the troops, says the support of the disciplined forces to the leadership on the ground was key to ensuring that people carry on with their daily lives. He also commends the leadership of provincial leaders under the leadership of provincial member Sir Peter Ipatas. Dr. Billy also paid a courtesy visit to the provincial member Sir Peter Ipatas last Sunday and visited the Mulitaka landslide disaster site on Monday. The visit to Mulitaka is the minister's fourth since the unfortunate events of May 24, 2024. Dr. Billy also inspected the rehabilitation area to get a personal appreciation of the recovery efforts by PNG Defence Force and the disaster management teams. One of the major works carried out as part of the rehabilitation exercise is the construction of a bypass road and the securing of the main supply route to Porgera Gold Mine. This road is managed by the Department of Works and Highways and is being constructed by local contractors with support from PNG Defence Force engineers. Total distance of road under construction is approximately 5.5 kilometers, of which 2.5 kilometers have been cleared and grubbing done. Full access to this new bypass road is expected by end of August after the completion of the construction work. The opening of this road is critical in giving access to the displaced people for resettlement, as talks of opening up the existing road reads a stalemate due to claims of compensation payments by local landowners. Freddie Mo, TVWAN News.
Provincial member for Gulf Chris Haiveta has raised concerns recently that government processes are failing, particularly the allocation of funding and adherence to budgets. He said the economy is stagnating, with investors losing confidence. Projects and investments that are crucial for economic growth and job creation have stalled.
A senior member of Pangu Party and provincial member for Gulf, Chris Haiveta, has put the government on notice for conducting government business out of its mandated functions and constitution. Haiveta said the country's economy is stagnating, with investors losing confidence. Projects and investments that are crucial for economic growth and job creation have stalled, and the government must do the right thing. He said warrants are being issued outside of the Financial Management Act and the Constitution, causing severe disruptions in the national budget and leading to mismanagement and shortage cash flow to even pay fortnightly salaries from available funds.
It's responsible government. You draw the funds, but when you draw the funds and the funds are appropriated for another purpose, and especially when it is a fund that involves a lower level government, like in this case Gulf Provincial Government, and you're going to take the fund away, consult me. No consultations took place.
Haiveta also raised concerns that the continual stagnation of Porgera, followed by delays in Papua LNG, where short-term pays or for long-term gain has turned into for no gain for long-term paid for no gain, is a significant barrier to the country's progress. He reiterated that investments and projects that are essential for our development have come to a standstill.
You talk to me about financial laws, and I can tell you where the powers of a minister lie, what the Constitution is, where breaches occur, where penalties need to be sought. And you learn these things when you're on the job. And if I was asked, I would have told them that it's wrong to take Gulf appropriations out. You look.
Freddie Mo, TVWAN News.
To regional news now. Less than a month away from the election, the Australia's Northern Territory government and the opposition have announced promises to provide further funding towards frontline domestic violence services. However, the source of where additional funding will come from remains unclear.
Small relief for a sector under strain. The NT government promising $180 million over 5 years towards frontline domestic violence services if it wins the election. The opposition today matching that commitment.
It is an election commitment. This isn't the work of government, this is an election commitment, and that's what you get when you're one month out from election.
More money for the sector is a long-standing demand from advocates. Rates of domestic violence in the NT are the highest in the country, and the funding commitment is seen by some in the sector as just enough, considering the scale of the problem.
$180 million is really the bare minimum. What we still need to talk about is long-term, needs-based, adequate funding for services that they can put towards their core service delivery.
The government had already committed to $70 million over 2 years for anti-DV services. With today's announcement, they'll have to spend another $130 million over the next 3 years to fulfill the pledge. But it's unclear still where the money will come from and when any of the services will be rolled out.
There is a domestic, family and sexual violence framework. The $180 million that the sector's been calling for is about funding that framework.
The opposition says it wants to go further than Band-Aid solutions.
What we're more focused on is actually dealing with the root causes of the issue of domestic and family violence.
The NT government says it'll release more details about its funding promise in the days to come.
Thousands have marched across Australia calling for an end to gendered violence, which is believed to have claimed the lives of 54 women so far this year. In Perth, advocates urged governments to do more to prevent another tragedy like May's double murder in the city's western suburbs.
Marching loud and marching for change. Coming together to raise their voices about gender-based violence.
If we want to make the world a better place, we need to stand up and shout it.
I think just like spreading awareness to men who might not know like how difficult it is for women.
Over 150 people took to the streets of Perth.
Whatever we wear, wherever we go, yes means yes and no means no.
Marching from Forest Chase in the CBD to the Changemakers at Parliament House.
5, 6, 7, 8, stop the violence, stop the hate.
The rally was part of wider national rallies across the country, organised by Indigenous-led advocacy group What Were You Wearing, collectively calling for more support services and an end to victim-blaming culture. Among the attendees, 27-year-old Ariel Bombara, showing her support following the double murder of Jennifer Patelchis and her daughter Gretel in Floreat at the hands of her father, Mark Bombara.
Since the terrible Floreat shootings, I've heard so many stories from women about their experience with the system and not being made to feel safe.
Although the weather wasn't perfect, the calls from several victim survivors and advocates were heard clearly. Like all rallies across the country this weekend, those marching in Perth are calling for profound change from both the state and federal government. They're also calling for things to be done differently.
I am imploring this government to help our frontline services, to put more money into men's behaviour change programs, because this isn't going away.
Remembering the lives lost, but hoping no more flowers will be laid.
An international student who was left paraplegic after an alleged assault in Hobart, Australia last year has been granted permanent residency by outgoing Immigration Minister Andrew Gillis. It comes after a campaign from family and friends who were concerned he wouldn't be able to access the care he needed if he had to return home to India.
We've made it. It has happened.
Devashi Decker finally has the visa that will help ease the nightmare he's been caught in for the past 8 months.
It was a feeling of joy, but at what price?
The 33-year-old came to Australia to study last year, but an alleged assault in Hobart left him with a severe brain injury, blindness in one eye and legs that no longer function, with the prospect of having to return to India once his student visa expired.
In India, you cannot think of this level of care like you get in Australia.
Dave's tragic situation sparked an outpouring of community support, with hundreds following his Journey to Heal page on social media, a GoFundMe campaign raising almost $100,000 and more than 6,000 people signing a parliamentary petition calling for permanent residency. Late on Sunday, Dave got the news he and his family had desperately been waiting for. Confirmation that the minister had agreed to intervene and approve his request to stay in Australia for good.
We are very happy because this letter will help him for the entire future life.
It's basically a second life given to Dave in this country. I think it's his another birth.
Permanent residency means Dave can now access the National Disability Insurance Scheme and other services.
I would like to thank all the community members and my friends from the bottom of my heart.
Facing a difficult journey ahead, but assured of Australia's ongoing support.
To sports now with some updates from the Olympics. Gold medal favourites Australia and New Zealand cruised to the women's sevens semi-finals with thumping victories in the quarter-finals at the Stade de France on Monday. Madison Levi equalled the record for tries in a single game on Sunday with 4, scored 3 more in Australia's 47 win over Ireland to take her Paris 2024 tally to 11 in 4 games, more than any other player at a single game. Defending champions New Zealand remain on track to meet the Aussies in the finals on Tuesday after they trounced China 55-5, scoring 9 tries in the match, including 7 in a wave of second-half dominance. Canada crushed France's dreams of an Olympic sevens double on home soil as the North American side edged out the hosts 19-14 in a bruising battle. The United States also clinched a semi-final berth with a hard-fought 17-7 victory over Great Britain. Fiji's most decorated sevens star, Jerry Tuwai, has hinted at retirement following his 3rd Olympic Games in France. The 35-year-old, who has 2 Olympic gold and a silver under his name, said it feels like the end for him at the moment, but in a few days, he'll see after losing 228-7 to France in the Paris Olympics final.
Tuwai said he wanted to end his career with another gold medal, having won a gold at the 2016 Rio Olympics, but not everything goes to plan. Tuwai, who won the World Sevens Player of the Year award in 2019 and was crowned the World Men's Rugby Sevens Player of the Decade in 2020, made his debut on the international stage under coach Ben Ryan. He was once rejected by his national team for being too small in stature. Instead of giving up, Jerry Tuwai became the heartbeat of the team that guided Fiji to Olympic gold in Rugby Sevens 2016 in Rio, Brazil. The 28-year-old was born in Newtown, Nasinu, a place which Tuwai describes as difficult because of its high crime rate. When he was younger, Tuwai admitted that he mixed with bad company and often stole things. However, a message from his father changed his mindset and became a guiding principle in his life. When he was 17, he left school and worked as a gardener while trying to make it into the national Fiji team. His workplace was far from home, so Tuwai took it as an opportunity to train himself by running to and from work every day. He was eventually selected for the squad in 2019, but was dropped because he was considered too small. Tuwai stands 1.7 meters, while rugby players are typically at least 180 meters tall. It was something that hurt him deeply, and he almost gave the dream up until his parents intervened. Things finally looked up for him in 2013 when former England rugby coach Ben Ryan took over the Fiji national team and recalled Tuwai. The rest was history. Terry Longwood, TV1 Sports.
And that ends our news update. Join us at 6 p.m. this evening for more news and sports.